Welcome to Truth Talks TV. We are on our June series. We're talking with a lot of wonderful men. I don't know
Yes.
if you guys noticed, but men don't get the credit they deserve.
They really
I don't
don't.
like it. So
They
we
really
hit,
don't.
we found some great men, and I can truly say that this man, Mr. Cortland Jones, we got
Yes.
history. I met him when I was in middle school.
Wow.
Yes, James Madison Middle School, and he was over a youth group called Girl Talks. And it's funny because this is Truth Talks TV, and he was our mentor. He was our
Yes.
peer mediator, so he mediated and helped us to bridge the gap
Mhm.
between among ourselves. And he also had an after school program called Girl Talk, and we really bonded. Like, this is a great man, a
Wow.
wonderful man. I'm so glad that we
Wow.
met you. Welcome to Truth Talks TV. And our topic today, what's our topic? What are we talking about?
Woo, I tell you, we are talking about a subject that is often overlooked, especially in the African American community and especially
Yes.
among men. So
Mm.
we are talking about mental health.
Yes.
And we have the wonderful privilege and opportunity to speak with someone who is not only aware of the subject and the topic and very experienced, but has also had you tell us
Yes.
what you have to share
We're
with
here to
our
glean.
yes. Share with us your special projects and everything that you have going on.
Well, I'm grateful first of all to be on the show, and thank you for having me. I was actually reflecting this week about Girl Talk and what that time period meant to me. So it's funny that it was mentioned, Keandra. Thank you for mentioning that.
Mm-hmm.
So just a brief history about me. I experienced childhood trauma at age
Mm,
4. So that alone kind of allows me to have some voice on this subject of men and
Mm-hmm.
mental health. I now have 2 children, both in college, and one of them is my son. And so the things I've learned as a result of self care that they call now and self talk,
yes.
self love, I passed those things on to him because I wanted
Mm-hmm.
him to be better prepared for life ahead of him. And while I was doing Girl Talk and peer mediation, I had the privilege of being able to share some important life skills as it relates to conflict resolution,
Yes.
decision making, problem solving with the students who were a part of the school community that I served at James Madison Middle School. So I'm grateful that I've had the opportunity in my lifetime to not only learn these things, but pass them on to other generations
Yes.
so they can continue to move forward. So, as I was listening to the introduction, the first thing that came to my mind was what I learned to share about the importance of mental health. And it kind of goes like this, when our car breaks down, or when it's clear that where we live has need of repair,
Mm,
we do not hesitate to invest the money or resource to ensure that those things get taken care of.
Yes. Yes.
More so because we see it as a necessity, right? And so, despite the expense, whether we want to pay it or not, we do. Um, but when it comes to our mental health, our mind health,
Mm-hmm.
we will let that continue to go on
mm,
and never stop to ensure that it gets maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
When
Mm-hmm.
our car or our home needs repair or maintenance, we will make sure that it gets it. And what I used to say to parents and adults when I would speak before them is, why do we think our mind can continue to perform and operate optimally without maintenance?
Mm-hmm.
We can get a car fixed and get it repaired, we can get a house repaired, but once our brain goes,
Oh,
that's it.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
we are not able to repair it. And so, this to me is the emphasis of mental health. We need to just put that time to make sure that we take care of it.
Definitely.
Yes.
And I wonder, why do you think it's so taboo for people? I know it's a
Especially men.
subject that What's
Yeah,
that?
especially men.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
it's a subject that's taboo to talk about in general, but then when you talk about men, or black men, it's kind of like, oh no, 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 we don't talk about that. You're supposed to man up and you're supposed to be okay and
Yeah.
everything's great. Why is it so hard or
Mhm.
not as easy to discuss? Because I know we women, we're like, oh yeah, girl, went to
Yeah.
the,
My therapist
my therapist
said,
told me
she
this,
said.
and men is kind of like, I'm good, I'm straight. Just had a
Mhm.
little rough day, but I'm good. Slept it off. Took a Tylenol. I'm good.
I would just say it's a sign of perceived weakness
Yeah, that's good.
in
That's very good.
culture as well as in society. When you look at the movies back in the day, especially when
Mhm.
I was growing up, Rambo,
Yeah.
uh, there were just a lot of movies that were associated with this perception of male manhood that
Yes.
that was not related to talking about how you feel
Mhm.
or acknowledging the need for help.
Mhm.
So it's in us socially and culturally to conduct ourselves in a way that fits a criteria or an image of what a man should be.
Wow.
So talking about how
Perception.
you feel
Hmm.
isn't in line with that.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so that I would say that would be the reason.
Yeah, and even some fathers raise their sons not to cry. And it's
Yeah.
like that is a natural emotion. Like some fathers have literally got mad and beat their sons for crying. And why do we take that away from little boys that they can't cry when this hurt them or whatever occurred hurt? Like tell them man up. I don't think that tears takes away manhood. So how would you can you speak to that? Like, is it okay for men to cry?
I definitely believe it's okay for men to cry. I've cried in front of my children. I've cried in front of God.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes,
Yes.
yes, yes, yes.
I
Absolutely.
I have come to understand it's a part of just being human. It,
Mhm.
it has nothing to do with sexuality or anything like
That's
that.
good. That's so
Uh,
good.
it really is just a part of being human.
Mhm.
Crying and feeling and talking about how you feel is the natural part of being a human being. Learning how to do that is beneficial to your own well-being. The emotion inside of us doesn't go anywhere, even if
Mhm.
we don't acknowledge it, if we don't express it, it's still there. So something that happened to you in childhood, it's still there at 20, 30, 40, 50 years old,
Mhm.
even if you don't address it. The value of addressing it is that your body releases it.
That's good.
Um,
Ooh.
when we don't release emotion, it manifests in physical and mental, uh, like it affects you physically and mentally. And this is where we get strokes and heart disease and all of these physical and mental ailments
Mm.
come from
Mhm.
the stress associated with
Yeah.
emotion that we don't address.
Well, I
Wow.
tell you one thing, I'm gonna start releasing a whole lot of emotion. I said, don't get mad at me. I got a whole lot to say to y'all because I'm not gonna let this stress my body out. Because
Okay.
I was
Let that
told
go.
today that I need to either write it out, yell it out, scream it out. No, I'm teasing. But
Well,
you're
I agree.
absolutely right. I love to write, and that is a huge form of release for me. And
Mhm.
from my understanding, you have written something as well. I'm excited to hear for you to share with all of our viewers what project you have completed and everything that you
Yes.
have going on.
So I have a past and a current project. My past
Nice.
project is Out of the Darkness, A Journey into the Marvelous Light. It is my
Mm.
personal testimony of salvation through faith in Jesus Christ.
I love it.
It includes both childhood and adult experiences that are used like parables to help the reader understand how God intervened in my life, even when I didn't know Him,
That's good.
Mhm.
so that the reader could be able to see He will do the same for you
Yes.
too. Um,
Yeah.
and
And
then
I
my current project is a child it's a children's book
Mhm.
addressing the subject of bullying
Oh,
and
yes.
self-esteem.
Yes, I love that bullying.
Mhm.
And like I said, your program, Girl Talk, was amazing. It helped a lot of people. It's people that I'm still friends with that I met there to this day, who's not even in my age group. And I really love the work that you're doing. Like you're doing amazing things for the youth and even for adults. Like it's truly, especially being a male. It's not too many men out there that's being a voice for not just yourself but for the generations to come. So I definitely commend you. And I did want to ask, what would you say to a man, or what tips can you give for a man to take care of their mental health? Like what are some things men can do to maintain their mental health, because we're living in a day and time where some black men may be afraid to leave
Yeah.
the house or drive,
Yeah.
home, or as soon as the lights flash of a police car, they're
Yes.
automatically nervous,
Or simply just being black, they're
Yes.
terrified in their own skin.
Yes. So what do you, and that affects somebody mentally
Yeah.
every day, or you have moms afraid for their sons to go out. So what do you say to that?
First of all, acknowledging that the emotion is real, to not
Mhm.
deny it, to learn how to accept that the emotion exists.
Yes. Mhm.
Secondly, journaling. I've been journaling since 2003. So you're talking
Mhm.
Wow.
19 years. And it actually came from giving advice to someone else. They came to me. Uh, I was at work like a student, just came to me concerned about how to deal with dating and relationships.
Mhm.
Yes.
And I suggested journaling as a way to cope with the feelings. And I could hear God plainly as they say, you need to do it too.
Isn't that something how he'll use us to tell someone else and
Wow.
he's like, "That's for you too."
Yeah.
Wow.
It's God is so strategic in everything he does,
Yes, he is intentional.
very intentional,
Intentional.
very intentional.
Wow.
So
Wow.
the first, I would say, acknowledge it.
Yes.
Secondly, journal.
Mhm.
I actually do talk with people who are close to me about, like, since George Floyd, I do have fears about traveling, driving, especially to certain parts of the United States. So I talk about it. I acknowledge it. It's a real fear,
Mhm.
and I have to learn how to day make decisions that keep me from allowing the fear to either consume me or
Mhm.
to dictate constantly my thoughts and my decisions.
Mhm.
So it's
Mhm.
okay to have the emotion. It's just learning how to not let it drive your decision making
That's good.
and
That's
Yes.
so
influence
good.
your act.
Yes. Yes.
And I
Yes.
tell people that oftentimes that emotions are indicators. They just indicate what's in
Mhm.
your heart. They should
Mhm.
never drive, they should never have the steering wheel. But sometimes it's good because it's like a checkpoint. It's kind
Right.
of like,
Right.
"Ooh, I was nervous, I was jittery."
Right.
Okay, well that shows me that I may not quite be at the level where I need to be,
Right. Still
or
some work that needs to
I
be
still
done
need some
there.
work to be done,
Yeah.
or it could just reveal like, maybe a boundary was crossed here. When this person went to, I got a text message at let's say 12:30 a.m. or 2 in the morning, and how did I respond? Did I think,
Mhm.
oh, or was it like, oh, I wonder if they're okay? You know what I mean? So it's kind of like if you feel frustrated or if you feel irritated, it's like, okay, is it because a boundary was crossed, or what is this feeling revealing to me? Now, it's never okay to just yell back at the person.
Right.
However, it indicates that maybe I need to have a conversation and redefine some things, because this my response of frustration lets me know that I kind of feel like my space has been invaded. So I like to look at feelings as indicators, just like you
Mhm.
said, but never be the driving force, because I tell you, our feelings could have us doing a whole lot of
Yes.
things.
Yep.
I
Yes.
mean, a
Or perception,
whole
like, it
lot of
may not even
things.
be what it seems to be,
Exactly.
but we're so on edge that our lens or our perception is distorted, or how we view things are distorted because of all that's happened.
Mhm.
Definitely. Yeah. So feelings can be pretty powerful, but we
Yeah.
just have to know,
Don't let them
where to put
overpower
them.
you.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
you go. We got to know how to properly utilize them and let them be what they are.
Yes.
Just indicators. They just
Yeah,
communicate messages, but they're never in the driver's seat ever.
I
Yes.
agree
You
100%. I mean, what I've shared with both my children and my students is feelings are what you just said, indicators of something being right or wrong. And so there's
Yeah.
no good or bad feelings. There are
Right.
no right or wrong feelings. We use those words as a way to just identify emotion, but
Exactly.
emotion really is just what it is, emotion.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
what we have to
Emotion.
Yep.
do
Mhm.
is learn how to be okay
Mhm.
at any given point with how we're feeling.
That's so
Yes.
good.
Yes.
That's what
Oh,
we
that's
Yes.
so
have to
good.
do. So if
Mm.
I'm angry, I have to learn how to be okay with being angry.
Mhm. Mhm.
So when I was working with the youth, kids would actually say, I have an anger problem. And I said, you don't have an anger problem. You're just angry. Now, what we
Mhm.
need to do is learn how to deal with being angry.
That's
Kids
it.
would actually think there was something wrong with them simply because they got angry. And so
Mm.
helping children understand that being angry is just a part of being human
Absolutely.
and
Now, if
there's
you
nothing
didn't get
wrong
angry,
with how you're
Yeah.
feeling. Yeah,
Right, right, and it's what you do when you're angry.
right,
absolutely.
It's the Bible says, "Be angry, but sin not." So it's
right,
okay to be angry, but what are you gonna do in that
right.
anger? Like, are
Mm,
you gonna, apply it to somewhere you shouldn't, or are you gonna do something constructive versus something destructive?
mhm.
That's a good point. So emotional intelligence is
Oh, I love that book, by the
Yes.
way.
it's about learning how to do three things. First, put words to how you feel. That's
Mhm,
what journaling did for me.
Oh, that's
mhm,
so good. Mm,
Journaling taught me how to verbalize how I was feeling. So that's the important first step.
mhm,
What is the word that represents how you feel? Add angry, sad, humiliated, hurt. And hurt is a big one because when we talk about being hurt, that puts us in a vulnerable state, much
mhm.
like a victim.
Oh, wow, that's so good. And just to quickly interject, when you
Sure.
talk about hurt, that's usually often the last emotion that people say. They'll usually say, "I'm angry. I'm this. I'm that." And I
mhm.
read somewhere, I think I read somewhere where it says, it's easier to be angry than to be
Mhm.
hurt. But when you're angry, it's like okay, make sure I state it correctly. You're not quite at a place yet for healing. I kind of feel like, or let me restate. Let me restate. When you're in an angry position, um, you're definitely not as vulnerable. But when you now can admit to saying I'm hurt, now it's like okay, I'm availing myself, or like you said, I'm more vulnerable to
Mhm.
now expressing that now my feelings were like I felt disappointed or my expectations weren't met. And
Yeah.
it's easier for people to say angry versus sad or
Right,
hurt
right,
because
right.
now it's
Disappointed.
exposing that
Mhm,
you're a little sensitive
mhm,
or to certain things or
mhm,
vulnerable to certain things. And
mhm.
I feel like a lot of anger that we see is really just hurt.
Right,
It's
right.
really hurt.
Hurt, disappointment.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
just does not know
yeah.
that is just not expressed the
Right.
correct way.
Mhm,
So I love that you said that. So you were saying the first step is putting words to how you feel.
mhm.
Yeah, because both of you have mentioned already that emotions can be powerful, and anger is one of those emotions.
Oh yeah.
If gone unchecked, can
Ooh.
influence us to hurt ourselves or hurt someone else.
Mhm.
It's a very powerful emotion, which is why it's easier to acknowledge
Mm.
because it gives me the perception that I have control over my situation, which I really don't.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
ooh.
so good.
Mhm,
The,
mhm.
Yeah.
the key to being willing to acknowledge hurt, if you're angry because you're hurt, but you only talk about being angry, you never address the hurt.
Wow, true.
And so now hurt is influencing your decision making and your actions.
Mhm,
Because
mhm.
we always say hurt people hurt other people, right?
Mhm.
So we have to be able to admit the hurt. If we just say we're angry, we'll feel better momentarily, but the hurt continues until we address it.
Oh, that's good.
Mm.
So that's
Mm.
why it's important to put words to how you feel. Now, once I put words to how I feel, the next step is to acknowledge why I feel the way I do. So, emotional intelligence, putting words to how you feel, and then
Mhm.
why. What's the cause? This is important too, because if the situation is out of my control, what I tell students today and what I've told my children, you no longer focus on the cause.
Mhm.
because it's out of your control.
Mhm.
All that's going to do is further
That's right.
frustrate you. You need to focus on how you're feeling and deal with how you're feeling. That's what's going to help you calm down, even though the situation hasn't changed. But you can manage yourself despite the situation not changing. If the situation is within your control, if the cause of why you feel the way you do is because you haven't done something yet, you haven't spoken up yet, you haven't taken action yet, then you need to act, because that emotion won't go away until you act
Mhm.
and do what helps solve the problem. So some of us are feeling uneasy and unsettled because we haven't apologized yet,
Yeah.
we
Mhm.
haven't forgiven yet,
Ooh,
we
forgiveness.
haven't gotten up and cleaned up our room yet, knowing somebody's gonna fuss at us.
Yeah, yeah,
Very
yeah.
practical, very
Mhm.
tangible. Yes.
Yep.
And so we keep going through this energy, but really we need to take action. And the purpose
Yes.
of the energy is to motivate us to act. And that's why it's important to find the cause, why I feel the way I do. And then last but not least, learning how to then take action based on emotion. Again, instead of letting the emotion drive us based on how I'm feeling and why I feel the way I do, I'm now going to solve a problem.
That's right.
I'm
Hmm.
going to take
Hmm.
action. I'm going to take the next step. I'm going to do the thing. And a good practical if I'm unhappy with my life, I can keep
Mhm.
sitting around and waiting for the person to show up, or waiting for the money to materialize, or waiting for life to change, or I can actually take steps to just activate change in my life that could allow me to be more happy and enjoyable
Right.
with life, even if those things don't materialize.
Mhm. Yes.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm full.
Yeah.
I done got some information I'm about to go apply,
Yes,
like, for
it
real.
really does. I like how you took the time to break it down, and it's like very bite-sized chunks, 1, 2, 3, and how we can apply it. And I pray that a man is listening, not
Yes.
just for men, but I
Mhm.
know we're talking
Yeah.
to men about mental health. But I feel like what you gave is so, even if a man is ashamed or
Mhm.
feeling uncomfortable, I'm not sure who they can talk to, but the fact that you applied such simple, easy to
Yes.
process steps, all they have to do is literally implement. And I'm
Mhm.
sure that that could be a drastic change. Now, of course, I'm a huge advocate and a proponent for mental health and for getting a therapist and seeing a
Mhm.
counselor. I truly feel like everyone needs one. You
Mhm.
go to the gym to work out your body, go to the church for spiritual health and
Mhm.
development.
Yep.
Why not get a therapist or a mental
Yes.
health professional to help you process? It doesn't mean something's wrong with you. It just means you want to be healthy.
Yes, and
Just
whole.
simply, most people at the gym aren't even overweight. Most people at the
Right.
gym
They
are
just
in
wanna get
shape
in fit. Yep, they
and
wanna
they
get
want to maintain that
toned.
health.
Yeah.
And I used to tutor students, gifted and talented students, and one kid said, she's already making straight A's. Why are they getting a tutor? Because their parents
Mhm.
want them to continue
Yeah.
to do well and to continue to
Mhm.
develop. And I actually started in the special education field. I taught students who were advanced, but then also students who were also, autistic or emotional or intellectual disabilities. So it just meant that they learned differently,
Mhm.
so being able to cater or differentiate to their learning preference or their style. But so I think we just have to get rid of those negative perceptions,
Mhm.
like you said, that, oh, it's okay, and the fact that you humanized it is
Mhm.
what really, 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 really blessed me. You said
Yes.
humans should cry.
Yes.
Yes, a
Yes.
man can cry, but a
Everybody.
human
Right.
can cry
Everybody.
because we all experience emotions. And the
Yes.
moment you stop feeling that emotion, that's when
You
I'm
need to
worried.
make sure you not
That's
numb.
when I'm
That you
worried.
up. Yep.
Well,
you know,
I
so
would just
I
say, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, no, I was just gonna say, I just kinda recapping everything because I'm excited. Like, I really and I know I say this all the time, when I get excited, but I just never like for the conversations to end,
I know.
especially when it's so good.
And
It's
rich.
so good.
Mhm.
This was really full of content in much substance. And
Yes.
definitely appreciate your time and
Yes.
appreciate you sharing this with our men.
Yes.
So I know that a woman is more to reach out and message us and say, hey, I was dealing with this.
Right.
Not always do we get men inboxing us or sending messages, but I pray that if you're watching and if this applies to you and if you need the assistance, that you can implement
Mhm.
the information from Mr. Cortland, because this is rich. This is
Yes.
rich.
Oh,
This is
yes.
really good.
Yes.
And I thank you for your time.
Thank
And I
you.
thank you for just everything that you're doing to help our children. I also love teaching and education and helping students. And where can we find you, your books, your products, the things that you're doing? Where can we keep in contact with you?
Sure. Yes. So my email address is info@cortlandjones.com.
Okay.
Info@cortlandjones.com. And I do have a website, www.cortlandjones.com.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you
Thank
for
you so much.
sharing.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. This has been another episode of Truth Talks TV. Get your mental health together. This month is about men, and not just about men, but we want everyone to be whole mentally, but
Yes.
especially men specifically. Thank you so much for watching Truth Talks TV.